Do you hear me okay? All right. I'm having a little hard time hearing you, but we do have a question. So I'll go ahead and ask the question. This comes from one
Yes.
of the viewers.
Okay. I,
All
I was
right.
reading too.
I hear you a lot better.
All right.
I got the memo on the attire for today, by the way.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how everybody else is attired today too.
So our question today comes from a viewer. Her mom has had depression all her life, but recently it's gotten a lot harder. The mom is 79 years old, and she's showing signs of being forgetful. And the viewer is worried that the mom's going to forget to take her medication. Excuse me, take her medication. And so she wants to know what kind of ideas or thoughts or suggestions we have to make sure her mom is making, taking her medication and doing what she needs to do.
Okay. Well, there are a few layers that I'm hearing there. But typically, when I hear somebody talk about a history of depression, I'm also concerned about the fact that that can manifest like memory loss, especially when it's not
Mm-hmm.
properly dealt with. And I bet Melinda has some additional information on this with her nutrition background and so forth. But I also know that when your body is low in folate, you cannot absorb your antidepressant medications. So it's a great practice to have a blood panel done at least annually, especially if you have certain issues with blood more frequently. So I would definitely check some of those things. I would check her B vitamin levels, D vitamins. Those things can often be depleted as well and can also kind of trigger or appear to be like a memory loss. So definitely check those things out. But going back to, and that might improve her memory, but going back to the concern of memory loss and not taking medication, it just needs to be somewhat of a pattern. There are all kinds of different devices and medication kind of programs that she can go on. Anything from having your pills packaged a certain way to machines that dispense your medication at a very specific time. I've used all of these for clients. There's little things in between too, but Philips has some things, Hero has some things. So there's some really interesting information. If anybody needs that, they're welcome to call the office at 626-359-0108. And we can certainly talk about what they might need for resources that way. So I know that was kind of a long-winded answer for a question, but I saw a few layers in there that I was concerned about not addressing in addition, because I think oftentimes depression does get, it's neglected in regards to how severe or how many other things it can manifest in a person. So really managing the depression with all kinds of different things. Obviously, medication can be very important in that. Meditation, all kinds of different things. Even in Shape Up, there's some really great things that we can offer too. So we can talk about that. We talk about it pretty regularly, but we can talk about that and get some information. We'll send it off for free for you. So
we've talked about in prior shows. We've talked about having cameras in.
Yes.
And so maybe that's also a
It
suggestion.
is a possibility. Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, so maybe
you take your medication at noon, and I'm going to call you at noon, and we're going to.
People do lots of things like that. They call and check. Obviously, that's a simple one, but that's also very taxing for a family member to constantly check just to see. And it's not a fun event to always call and say, "Did you take your medication? Did you take your medication?" But absolutely, we have sensors that we can even put on a cabinet to say, oh, she opened her cabinet, so likely she took her medication. Not always. Or you could put a camera down on the medication and just see that it's taken, and you don't have to worry. So there's lots of little clever things to manage that. But it's when somebody has 12, 13, 22 medications, which probably also need to be reviewed, it's can get complicated when you're even setting it up to dispense. So it can also get a little dangerous even.
Sure. Yeah.
So we have a really great guest today. We have Kendyl Young from Diggs, and she's a realtor, and the thing that I think is so neat and unique about her is that she's really focused in on this ADU kind of. Do you know what an ADU is?
Yeah, of course.
An accessory dwelling, and so she's really focused in on that as resource for her clients. And I'm going to go ahead and bring her on, and we're going to talk a little bit about that and the benefits to maybe bringing aging parents in, or maybe you still have children living at the house and you need to move them out,
Right.
get some extra space, or you have family that comes in from out of town all the time. So I'm going to talk with her, and we'll come back later and chat
Sounds
with
good.
you. All right.
Have a great show.
Thanks. Yeah, Kendyl is fantastic here. So let's go ahead and talk about her specialty. Good morning, Kendyl. How are you?
Good morning. Doing awesome.
Great. So you own the business Diggs. You are a realtor, and you have the specialty within the ADU kind of market. Or I know LA County has opened the housing market up to be able to have an ADU. That wasn't always the case. I think, what has that been in the last 4 or 5 years, maybe, that LA County said, yes, we need to make sure that we have more support.
The ADU laws have been on the books since 1982, but they expanded in 2017. But in 2020, we were the beneficiaries of a huge array of laws that just boil down to, it's just a lot easier for you to have an ADU in your backyard now.
Great. So take us along kind of those steps. What, I decide that absolutely it would be great to have an ADU. Tell me a little bit about that progress, or how you walk a client through that start to finish.
So because I'm a real estate agent and I have literally decades of experience of helping people solve for home, we actually start with a needs assessment. We get a sense of not only the problem they think they need to solve, but I am walking them through in a 360-degree fashion to figure out, is the solution they thought they wanted really the best one for everything that's going on with the family? And to help them maybe identify different ways of doing things. So let me give you an example. Somebody thinks that mom and dad need to move out of their house, and they need to be in some sort of assisted living situation or what have you, and they've called me to sell mom and dad's house. I might sit there and go, really, let's talk about this, because mom's looking like a real pistol. She doesn't really look like she is ready to give up her independence and her privacy. And in talking through the situation, maybe discovering that by moving the chess pieces on the board with the same amount of money and the same amount of resources, that they can live in their own, and maybe they need to build an ADU in their existing home's backyard, right? Because reason that the kids want mom and dad to move is it's a 2-story house, it needs remodeling, it's not safe for them. So, okay, they've got a big backyard. Let's build 1,000 square foot ADA friendly ADU in the backyard, right? Mom and dad moves there, and either a family member, moves into the front house, or they could rent it. And the rent for the big house just pays for everything, right? I mean, that's one solution that a family wouldn't necessarily have thought about. Right? But the idea of using ADUs as a really great solution to age in place, which is what every senior I talk to dreams of.
They do.
You probably
95%,
right? I mean,
age in place.
Sure. Yeah, they dream of it, but they don't know how it's going to accomplish it. Using ADUs in a multitude of different ways can accomplish that goal, age in place, in a multitude of different ways.
Interesting. Yeah, what a great way of thinking about it. So share about some of your most recent client. Maybe give us a couple client stories then.
Okay. This one was a good one, and I hear about this a lot because I deal typically with seniors who are in the very active part of their seniorhood, if you will. So there was a couple, they actually lived 2 states away, and I was talking to their kids here in California. And the upshot of it is at the end of the day is we wound up as Bob and Mary. So Bob and Mary wound up getting a HECM loan, which is we're starting to call it retirement loans now, right? They got a HECM loan on their existing house. Um, Maybe more than 2 states away, Michigan. It's more than 2 states away, right? Well, anyway, in their house in Michigan, they got a HECM loan there because they weren't really ready to give up the community that they had built up over, decades. And with the proceeds of the HECM loan, they built an ADU in their kids' backyard here in California. And that allowed them to have a place, a very comfortable place to stay for weeks. And as they get older, maybe even months at a time. But they could be in Michigan during the house and summer days when weather is great, right? And
Yeah.
when they are in Michigan, communing with their network of people that they've built up over decades, the kids are renting the ADU as a midterm rental, meaning 30 days plus at a time because it's furnished, it's ready to go, right? And the amount of money that the kids get for that ADU, renting it out midterm, more than pays for the interest payments on the parents' HECM loan in Michigan. Yeah. So,
Wow.
and someday when the parents pass away, the kids now have an additional asset that they didn't have before, right? So it just like for a family solution, it just works out incredibly well. I have another one in Altadena. So this is an older lady. She has 2 sons. One is a dastardly son, not a great guy, and the other one is the good son, right? You always have that. You have the dastardly son
I
and you
see
have the
that.
good son. Yeah. Okay. So the dastardly son had drained a lot of money out of the estate to build a fancy house. Very fancy house, very large fancy house, and a mean little guest quarters for the mother in the backyard. That is, it's basically a glorified tough shed. And the good son is just horrified by that. And the whole reason that happened is that the mother's house that they still had was really run down and filled with a plethora of treasured items that have been gathered over decades, empty grocery bags, mementos from their elementary school days. I mean, just
He's a hoarder.
and the mother refused to let them move or throw out any of those things. So that was the dastardly son's solution: move mom into a tough shed, right? So not a lot of money was left in the, ready cash was left in the estate because of what the dastardly son had done. Yeah. But the estate was worth a lot of money in Altadena. So we were able to get them just a straight up home equity loan, and they built a beautiful ADU in the backyard of the thing. And the mom moved into that ADU. Now she's back in Altadena with her friends and her clubs and her support network. You're going to hear this as a theme a lot. She's back with her support network. She'd been in Altadena her whole life. She grew up there, right?
Wow.
Dastardly son had moved her out, and right. So now she's back with her community. She's healthier. She's happier. She's in a beautiful ADU, but the house filled with all the memories is still there, vacant. Well, it's not vacant. It's filled with memories, right? And now the good son can take care of her in a safe environment. Mom's happy. Good son is happy. Dastardly son doesn't care because he drained all the money out of the estate anyway.
Oh, wow.
You hear that a lot. Yeah.
So that's a great solution. Great solution. What was the timeline that took? Because I don't know what it takes as far as getting permits or finding what the financing.
Yeah,
all that
That's
good
the
stuff.
bad thing. And unfortunately, there are ways to cut down on the time by using different building methods. That's one of the reasons I launched my company, actually, because we do something called prefab modular, which is different from manufactured. Yeah. Manufactured, that is the same sort of thing that is like the classroom trailers at your elementary school,
Okay.
or that goes into a mobile home park. They're not terrible quality, they're just not architectural, right? And we do prefab modular, which is exactly the same building methods and building code that dictates what happens with your own house if you're to build it, from the ground up. Yeah.
Okay.
So we do that, and that's a lot faster. It's a lot more convenient, but the fly in the ointment is getting the permits. And there's no
Okay.
way around that. Yeah. There's getting the
Yeah.
permits. And that can take anywhere from 6 months to a year, depending on where you are. Altadena, it was an 8-month process for County of Los Angeles, Unincorporated. And that is, please put pressure on your lawmakers. I mean, I don't know what any other way to fix that problem. Yeah. But once you
Right.
get your
It's
permit, I know it
everywhere.
is a problem. It is a
Yes.
problem. It's a problem that people don't understand how when a butterfly flaps its wings, there's all of these ripple effects. People don't understand the ripple effects of this long and unpredictable permitting time. But it affects your financing, the cost of the
Absolutely.
financing, the various programs that you get for financing. It also affects your contractors. There are so many contractors who would like. I mean, well, they live in California, so they have to do business in California, but there would be so many more contractors who would be willing to work in California if they could. And the contractor horror stories that you hear about,
Mhm.
part of it is because the permitting process and the inspection process
The
is
impact process is
so
garbage.
chaotic,
Yes. Yeah.
that it makes it so much more expensive for the contractor to manage that process and to manage the people. Yeah. So anyway,
Sure.
soapbox.
So we've got our
Sorry, we'll
permits.
step off now.
We're lucky and we've got our permits now.
So you've got your permits now. So what's nice about the prefab modular, and this is why we did it, is that the structure is permitted in a factory, and the state it's inspected by the state, not by a local like Altadena inspector. It's
Sure.
inspected at the state level. And because it's the factory, the state inspectors are there pretty much every day because there's stuff being built all the time. And so for one thing or another, they got anyway. So once it shows up at the property, it is, well, 2 weeks before it shows up, our crew installs the foundation and gets the utilities ready. And
Mhm.
then on installation day, when it shows up from the factory, the truck shows up. And so the crane takes it up off of the truck and flies it over the roof of your house. It's phenomenal, actually. Although we have a patent pending to actually forklift it. So we can forklift it onto more properties than anybody else. Yeah. So that day, installation day, is really one day, unless you have a really big one and it's really complicated, but it's one day. And that one day, it's amazing because our stuff shows up. The flooring is done, the lighting is done, the kitchens and bathrooms are complete, windows and doors are done. Like literally, it's ready for your furniture, right?
Wow.
And so we lift it, we put it on the foundation, and then we take our time on this one, frankly. So 2 to maybe 3 weeks to finish the connections, finish all, because it's modules, so making sure the modules are connected properly together and cleaning everything up. We hand you the keys, you move in your furniture, mom's ready to go, or dad, or whoever.
Or both.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Oh,
Exactly.
that's fantastic.
So that's the
So,
process with us. If it's ground up construction, once you get your permits, you're looking at another 6 to 8 weeks, 6 to 8 months. Sorry.
okay. Okay. Interesting. So we're just ready to go. Do you have different styles or
We do. So our styles are designed for Southern California homes, because what we saw in our space is that it's a lot cheaper to build a simple rectangle. and it's a lot cheaper to make it a slick, modern style. That is the most inexpensive thing that you can do. And so that's what the prefab modular companies have done. We're crazy idealists. So we have created 4 architectural styles specifically to fit with the most common architectural styles that we see here in Southern California. So we have a Spanish style with an optional red tile roof. We've got a modern farmhouse with beautiful vertical siding, like what you see in like Newport Beach, those bougie Sherman Oaks, right? It's really gorgeous. That's our standard style. We have a craftsman style with the shingle siding. And then we have a mid-century modern that is like more of a post and beam, one of those yummy mid-centuries. I love that one. Yeah. So those are our 4 different styles. We have, right now, we have 2 floor plans that have been approved already from the state. There's a studio that's 350 square feet. It's efficient, it's beautiful, it's our least expensive model, obviously. Then we have a 1-bedroom that's an L shape that creates this beautiful outdoor living space, if you will, yeah, with an optional covered patio. And then we have, I think, 2 or 3 more designs that we haven't gotten approved at the state level yet, but my architects are brilliant. They know how to do that. There's a 2-bedroom that creates a C shape, again, for outdoor living. That's our thing, indoor, outdoor living. And then we have our Diggs 1000, which is ADA friendly, universal design on the inside.
Ah, nice.
That's
Yeah,
2
that makes
bedrooms, 2
sense.
baths. Yeah.
And so if somebody is not familiar with universal design, it's really set up more for someone with arthritis and handicaps and really,
Wheelchair access.
really great option. And that makes so much sense, especially if you're going to age in place, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's great.
And I mean, like in places like Altadena, we have so much land. Yeah. I mean, relatively speaking. But because ADU laws are different, many people are under the impression they don't have enough room in their backyard for an ADU. And that might not be true, right? And so part of what I do as a real estate agent, but also as an ADU consultant, which is really what I spend most of my time doing, is I help you understand what's possible for your backyard, but I also help you understand what your options are. Because the thing that you think you can do, I might bring to you 5 or 6 other ideas that are actually equally possible. I'll help you figure out how to finance it. I will connect you with the professionals that you need for additional information. Like, sometimes you might need a financial planner. You might need help with taxes. You might need help with senior care professionals like you, right? To understand, okay, look, I thought I had to do this, but actually I could do this or this or this or this. How exciting.
That's very exciting. It's a good
right?
problem
Because
to have
they're
options.
right. I mean, because I think the term multi-generational living has been unfairly criticized in our country.
Yeah.
And yet there are cultures and countries that know that this is just the most sensible way to handle everything. So
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited. In fact, I think I want to have you come over and check out the back of a property that I have and see if that might be a possibility.
yeah.
But
So
to
let me
me,
just real quick,
yeah,
tell your viewers how I can be helpful, because no one really wants to talk to a salesperson because there's that fear that I'm going to sell you something, do the the hard press, or not give good advice because I'm trying to sell my own product. I actually hate selling. I'm terrible at it. It's just not something I enjoy doing. What I love is problem solving. And I'll be really honest with you. Very few of your viewers are going to be right for my prefab modular ADUs. That's just the truth. Okay, so chances are really good that I can't sell you anything. So here's how I can be helpful. if you want to just chat with me really quick, get to know me, see if you can trust me, if you feel comfortable with me, I do a 20-minute free consultation for like anybody, right? And that can get your basic questions answered, but it won't be enough to really do that 360-degree problem solving thing that I talked about. Yeah.
Sure.
So then I have an I have ADU consulting. It's $100 an hour, which is like dirt cheap. I do have a 3-hour minimum, right? So, you can hire me and I can just be your ADU boo on tap to answer your questions as they come up, because 3 hours is going to be enough for almost anybody to get all of their questions answered.
Nice.
And including doing some basic research on what's possible in your local area. Yeah. So that's another thing. I can do site visits. It depends on where you are, but it's going to, so like the further away from me is the more expensive it's going to be, but it's going to be somewhere between $325 and $450. So we're not talking about a budge. And I come out to your site and I help you really think about design wise, what's really going to work. I help you identify what in your particular lot is going to be, complicate things and make it more expensive. I can also help you to understand, okay, look, if you're willing to look at this from an investor's point of view, what's going to give you the best ROI over time, right?
Great.
So that's what a
Oh,
site
that's
visit is.
really smart. That sounds great. So how do people get a hold of you? I have the number scrolling below, but if you are only listening, please share
Right.
how
So
you get a hold of
the easiest way to think of this is to text me. If you call me and you're not in my Rolodex, if it will, on the phone, I probably won't pick up because phone scammers. But you can always leave me a message and I'll call you right back. Like, it's not that I don't want to talk to you physically or I'm too busy to talk to you.
It's
That's not it.
happening
It's
a
just,
lot though. Yeah.
yeah, phone scammers. So leave me a voicemail message. I will call you back. But honestly, best thing to do is to text me 818-482-1885. 818-482-1885. That is the easiest way for somebody who's just listening to this. Just send me a text and say, I need ADUs. I will either call you right back, or if I'm super busy, like talking to Mary, I'm not picking up my phone, I will text you back with a calendar link, which sounds really techy and it sounds really, really like, scary, but it's not. I promise you. It's like literally just clicking on the link and then you're like, ooh, I'm available 10 a.m. at Monday too. So you click that and you're done. Yeah. But if that's
Perfect.
scary, just say, no, call me back, and I will. I will call you back. I am very, very willing to do this old school. Yeah, because that's how it was trained. we didn't have we didn't
Exactly.
have all these technology tools when I started selling real estate 37 years ago. So
Exactly. So Kendyl, how about you? If you want to hang out with us, I'm going to have Melinda come up and share a little information with us today, and come on at the end of the show,
right
and
on,
we'll
right
read
on. Yeah,
together. All right.
I'll be here. Okay.
All right. Great. So yeah, let's go ahead, and we're going to have we want to have Melinda come on and share some information with us. Oh no, we haven't done our birthday yet. We have a really good birthday, so we're going to go ahead and do that first. Hey, Melissa.
Good morning,
Well,
everyone.
our little person there. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Put my name. Oh, put your name up there. Let's see. Here we go.
Ooh,
Yes.
there it is.
What's going on? There's so many buttons behind the scenes. I'm like the.
I think we lost your voice on the birthday celebration, unless it was
Oh
just me that didn't hear it.
no. Oh gosh, I'm so terrible with these buttons today. I'm having a hard time. But I have to tell you that sister was one of 11 children. She was the only girl. And
Wow.
she worked for all 9 presidents at Aquinas College. And
Wow.
she has her master's degree in urban development. The whole area in Michigan was falling apart, and she essentially lifted it up. And she's received tons of accolades. She's been on tons of boards over there. Don't be fooled by her 100-year, little sweet. And I'm sure she's very sweet too, but I'm sure she can command quite a bit. And she was also one of the largest donors, or not donors, but built the most in regards to donations for the college too. So she was a force.
Yeah, she was kicking butt and taking names.
Exactly. Yeah, I can't imagine having 10 brothers. So that I'm sure that's
yeah, you got to be one tough cookie to have 10 brothers.
Exactly. So share with us what.
Yeah, I was going to share, per Steve's question, 6 foods that help fight depression.
Ah, nice.
So, and you can include these foods. Food is medicine, and our brain health is very important, especially when we're talking about things like depression and anxiety. So, if you can include these 6 foods into your diet, it'll help. It'll help with depression. Specifically, dark leafy greens. Dark leafy greens fight inflammation, and in several studies, severe depression has been linked with brain inflammation. So if we can fight that inflammation, we can relieve, some of that severe depression. Walnuts are number 2. Walnuts are a very rich source of omega-3 fatty acids. And there's many, many studies about how omega-3 fatty acids support brain function and reduce depression.
There's a lot of evidence on walnuts right now. It's
so munching on walnuts throughout the day. Obviously, salmon and other fatty fishes have a lot of omega-3 fatty acids, so including those in your diet. Avocados. They contain a lot of healthy fats, and your brain needs healthy fats. So avocados are definitely a superfood when it comes to your brain health and reducing the symptoms of depression. Antioxidants. So antioxidants, there's been several studies where, there was one study in particular where patients were treated with antioxidants and a placebo. And after 2 years of this study, the people who are taking the antioxidants had significantly lower depression scores. So antioxidants are huge as far as relieving or helping, reduce the symptoms of depression. So high antioxidant foods are the berries: blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, blueberries. But anything with high in antioxidants is going to be really great for your brain health and reduce, symptoms of depression. And then mushrooms. Mushrooms are really great for mental health because they contain a lot of folic acid. Their chemical properties help balance your blood sugar levels, and that helps to even out your mood. But they also promote probiotic health, and that your probiotic health is very, very important because of the nerve cells in your gut, and that's your gut. They say is where like 80 to 90% of your serotonin is made. And obviously serotonin
isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Well, we're eating all these horrible things and ruining the serotonin in our bodies. Food is absolutely medicine. Everything that we put in our body is so important. So I've been actually following a diet like that. hoping that I would even lose weight. I've gained a pound. It's probably because I'm not monitoring how much I'm eating, but there's so many more fats. But I have to tell you, I feel so much better. My head, it feels clearer. And I think our brains need some fat.
Yeah.
Taking statins, I'm not saying go off your statins, but we take statins and then all of a sudden.
Yeah, it becomes more important when you're taking medications that deplete certain nutrients, because those nutrients are being depleted. And it's not about, necessarily going off the medication. That may not be a possibility for an individual, but
absolutely,
it is being aware of, when I put this medication into my body, what is it? What are the effects that, we know what the effect is that we're looking for when we take a statin, but what are the unintended effects? What are the nutrients that are being depleted? And how, and then addressing that. How do we combat that depletion of those particular nutrients so that we still have balance within our body? We still have the proper amount of nutrients. And that's what I love about, I don't recommend a ton of supplements to people regularly. And that's because I want people to be getting their nutrients from food, because food is containing the proper quantities of those nutrients. And when we take Superman doses of one nutrient over another, we can create imbalances that way, just as taking medication can create imbalances by depleting certain nutrients. Our nutrients work in tandem. So, for instance, calcium needs vitamin K2 because vitamin K2 is what pushes calcium into our bones. So if we have a lot of calcium in our bodies, but not a lot of K2, the calcium is not as useful as we want it to be for maybe the intended use of increasing bone density, but it's also potentially depleting other nutrients as our body tries to rid the excess calcium that it's not using from our system. So having nature provide us that perfect balance of nutrients to the body is like unparalleled.
It's true. I'm going to bring Steve on because we're going to talk about a day in sports, and then we're quickly going to talk about what's on the perk. And hey, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
Oh, I've got to mute. It's like a muting day today. So anyway, you're on. You have a voice. Share with us what the day in sports is today.
Sure. So
I'm going to bring Kendyl on too, so she can hear and talk about it also.
Okay. I will wait for Kendyl.
She's here.
All right. So the year is 1967, and Muhammad Ali refused to go into service and was stripped of his heavyweight title on today's date in 1967. So he did not fight for over 4 years while he was trying to. There was a lawsuit that was filed, and eventually in 1971, the Supreme Court overturned his draft evasion conviction, and he was allowed to fight again. But for over 4 years, our heavyweight champion was not allowed to defend his title or to earn a living. Everybody knows who Muhammad Ali is, and hopefully you've seen some of the movies about him. It was really a tragic event when you saw that he wasn't able to make money for people, that he was abandoned, and really struggled for those 4 years just to make a living and pay bills, and did some stuff on the side, like he was on a Broadway show, a musical, for a while, but his livelihood was taken away.
Interesting. Well, and do you remember Howard Cosell? I think that he actually was very instrumental in supporting Muhammad Ali, and they kind of had a symbiotic relationship thereafter.
Absolutely.
So very interesting. That is great.
Wow, 4 years is a long time.
I remember that.
4 years in his prime. Those are 4 of his prime years. I believe he had not lost a fight up to that point.
My God, that's a long time.
Well, kind of going along that vein, we have National Superhero Day on the perk.
Oh.
So
excellent.
isn't that great? And then we've got, let's see, we'll go ahead and solo this so I can see. So the perk pun today is Iron Man's original superpower was perfectly pressed clothing. So, but so if you want the perk, if you're interested in the perk, go ahead and reach out to Ginny because she's the one in charge of this. She'll get it out to you for free. Send it every month if you want. It's fun. It's something to talk about, something to laugh about, and we have some fun brain teasers on there too. Reminiscence is just a great way of just starting a conversation too. I mean, who would even think about talking about Superhero Day unless you had it right in front of you? So call 626-359-0108 and Ginny will get that off to you. Kendyl, thank you so much for being on with us today. We really appreciate it. Great information.
Thank you for having me.
Solutions I had not even thought about before. So I really appreciate your insight and information. And I hope everybody has a fantastic weekend and enjoy. I think we're going to have some nice weather, hopefully. So enjoy.
We'll see you in May.
Right on. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.